we will start. Craig, I will assist in doing the call to order by doing a roll call of the Uptown Association members so we can identify that we do have a quorum. So I'm going to list everyone's name. I'm going to go through the entire roster. And then if you are present, please identify here. And then that way that can be made into the record. And that way we all kind of know who's on the line. So I'll start with Larry Turner. John Semister. John Chu.
Here.
Pat Butner.
Here.
Vice Chair Robert Coleman.
Here.
And then Chair Craig Suveg.
Here.
All right. Next, we'll go to public comment. I did want to confirm, Craig, the agenda was re-forwarded to you with all the items, and so just want to make sure that you have received that and have that available for your viewing as we progress on.
I am looking.
It was to your Gmail account.
Okay. No, I'm not seeing it.
What's that? Trash, whatever the trash.
Check your spam filter maybe and see if that's going there. Because both the agenda and then the attachments, including the March 17th minutes, and then the item number 5 were provided via or last week with the mailing of the Uptown Association package. And so just want to make sure you have everything that way can best facilitate, make sure that you were accommodated.
Sure.
But I suppose we can kind of proceed on. If you don't get it, we can try to resend it. But check the spam and refresh your browser or however you're viewing the mail to maybe see if the internet catches up with it.
Okay.
All right. So the second item, so I'll assist you with this. I'm going through the agenda. Is the public comment. City did not receive any public comments written in for items not on the agenda. However, the city did receive 3 different pieces of correspondence on items number 5, and so we will read that at that item. So everyone has that, and I believe Chris has sent that off to every member as well so they can follow along. But for those in the members of the public on YouTube that are listening, we can provide that information by reading it out loud. So the next item would be the approval of the minutes from 3/17/2020. It looks like we only have 2 members of the Uptown Association that was present at the meeting, so we don't unfortunately have a majority to vote on the minutes at this time. So we will probably have to continue the approval of this minutes as well as the minutes from February to the subsequent meeting date so that we can have sufficient votes to approve or take action on those minutes. So I guess the next one takes us to item number 4, which is business support resources during COVID-19. Certainly, we recognize that this is a very trying time and very unprecedented times for everyone, especially all the Uptown businesses that are trying to cope with COVID-19 and everyone else. We do have Caroline with the city. She is our housing and economic development consultant, and so she'll be kind of going over some of the resources, but she's a tool that is available at the city, trying to help weed through the different options that businesses have to make sure that we can all recover. So I'm going to lay the floor for her if that's okay.
Hello, everyone. I'm Caroline, as been introduced. I'm new to the city, but I am now the city's business resource. So I'm part of the Economic Development Division, and ever since the pandemic broke out, the city, which includes myself, has a dedicated team specifically for just navigating the array of business support resources that are out there right now. The two main ones that you're all probably familiar with are through the Small Business Administration. So they have the Economic Injury Disaster Loan and the Paycheck Protection Program. Both of these are the main big ones that are out right now. Unfortunately, funding is not available at this time, but we do anticipate the federal government to announce available funding soon. So that being said, we're highly encouraging small businesses to get their loan applications ready. Note that the EIDL, the Economic Injury Disaster Loan, is through the SBA, while the PPP is through a private lender. So we're encouraging folks in the business community to research these programs, identify the lenders that they want to take out loans with. And a lot of it is preliminary, overarching information, and it's primarily designed for, or at least our information is catered to those businesses who are new. They're just starting out when this pandemic hit. So even if you're aware of them, let your business colleagues know in the community that they can always reference our website, and then also contact me directly if they have any questions about the resources that are out there right now.
I think it kind of covers that. And then as additional kind of backup is the city is kind of leading the coordination efforts with the county on kind of the post-COVID recovery efforts and trying to get doors back open safely, but as expeditiously as possible. That way we can all get back to staying busy and adding back the prosperity to the Uptown. And so that's being worked through, as well as we get guidance on from different levels of government on kind of when the next chapter begins. And so just wanted to provide that. We can provide Caroline's information as well, but she'll be kind of the boots on the ground with the city to help that if you're having trouble navigating through some of the different programs that she's here to provide the support through that and help give you a little bit more guidance and navigate through some of that stuff.
Could I have Caroline's last name, please?
Velarde, V-E-L-A-R-D-E.
Thank you.
Okay. If there's any other questions, let us know. If not, we can move to the next item. We did keep this, I'll kind of preface this agenda pretty light, just because we recognize this is the kind of first approach maybe for some of you guys with the teleconference meeting. We're still getting used to it too, so I wanted to make sure that we're still keeping business moving for the Uptown Association, making sure that decisions or different activities happening that affect the Uptown keep happening or are being reviewed, and that process remains open, but wanted to keep it light as well, just as we get our feet wet with this approach. So if there's no items or discussion on the business support for Caroline or questions for her, we can move on to the item number 5, which is a temporary use permit that's been submitted for a vacant piece of property on California Street.
I've got no questions. Does anybody else?
Okay, then. Then we'll move on to case number 20042. It's a TEP. Do want to note or reiterate, we did receive 3 public comment letters in this, and so Chris will read off those comment letters. Just so you guys have it, it was provided, but for members of the audience, and then if there's any questions on the TEP, we can discuss that. But wanted to provide this project for the Uptown, given it is a submittal that we received. And then the application, there is a future project that is envisioned for that site, kind of following the TEP. And so when that gets submitted, then that will certainly go to the Uptown or the architecture review committee when that's established for that discussion point. But we'll go from here.
Okay, the first can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Okay, the first comment is from Randy Stitlow. It says, "Dear association members, good evening. Thank you for taking the time to hear my comments on behalf of my firm, R&R Development Group. We are leasing the property at California and Avenue C for the purpose of bringing in a trailer and a few storage containers. We are assisting the property owner for future development by also bringing in water and sewer to the site. This will save the owners time and money when they develop the property. We ask that you back the approval of our temporary use permit. As you may be aware, we have already significantly upgraded the aesthetics of the site by clearing it out, removing old dead trees, and putting screening around the perimeter. Please understand that this is not a long-term use property. We will be grading 70 lots on Avenue D, which is already in progress, assist with 33 lots on 5th Street, assist in the planning and development of this property, and the one across the street for improved development in the Uptown area. This property represents the best location for a temporary trailer because it will take a year to approve the CUP for the property, and we can get a lot accomplished in Yucaipa during this year by having a base of operations. At the end of the year, we hope to maintain a full-time office in Yucaipa. Please welcome us to Yucaipa Business Member Uptown Association that has the interest of Yucaipa in our plans. Thank you." That was number 2. Hello, esteemed Uptown Association leaders. As a 27-year resident of Yucaipa and business owner in Yucaipa for many of those years, this is from Craig Heaps, sorry. I wanted to address this very important temporary use permit. The applicant has already significantly improved the site by removing the junk on site, both through removal of the dead trees, the weeds, and the old debris. The owner has hauled off several old cars and other unsightly items that were brought to the property. The owners have been great stewards of this corner property in the Uptown area. In addition, the applicant's plans also call for a significant upgrade to the site while they occupy it for this next year. My firm, Premium Land Development, will be processing a CUP application for retail and residential units on site for the property owners. We are hoping to do an application across the street for a similar product as well. This will help press the agenda of modernizing and beautifying California Street. This TUP is ways to a means in this area. As you may be aware, the state is mandating that the city of Yucaipa build several thousand dwelling units over the next 8 to 10 years. Currently, R&R Development is grading 70 lots on 17th Street between Avenue D and Avenue E and has their hands in the development of 300 lots in Yucaipa alone. They need a temporary base of operations to make this happen while working in the area and looking for a permanent home. I strongly back their addition to the community, have recruited them for years, and ask that you welcome them with open arms by allowing them to utilize this location for their temporary use. This is a win-win situation for the community, the landowner, and R&R Development. Thank you. I'm available at 909-283-8588 if the committee would like to contact me with questions or to clear anything up during the meeting. Have a great evening. Okay, that was number 2. Number 3 is from Christopher Markarian. Dear Uptown Association leaders, I would like to submit my comment regarding the above item on your agenda for today. As the owner of the property at the southwest corner of California and Avenue C, I write to you in support of processing a conditional use permit for some retail office space on the 1st floor and condominium space on the 2nd and 3rd floors. I am collaborating with the property across the street as well after a meeting with the city manager and the planning department to help our city meet the state's high demand for more housing. R&R Development will be assisting site development work and, as you may be aware, has already cleaned up the site and improved fencing around the perimeter. This temporary use permit will allow the property to be utilized by a company that has supported our city goals of local development all over Yucaipa, the historic Uptown district, the Dunlap area, and other parts of town. This allows me, as an owner, to collect rents while spending money to get this property developed. After serious homework and consultations with various entities, it is my firm belief that this project will be a great addition to our Uptown district and in great furtherance of the city's general plan to beautify our town through new development and architectural delights. Again, this is a temporary use and will be kept up nicely during the coming year. I would appreciate your support for this use. Thank you.
And then that concludes the comment letters we received. And then Craig Heaps with Premium Land Development we have on the phone as well, in case there's any members of the Uptown Association that has questions for him on this particular project.
So I just wanted to clarify. So that's on the southeast corner. Is that where the old automotive repair? Just trying to.
Yeah, this site historically, or for a long time, even since I was a kid, was storage for cars to be repaired. And so they have cleaned up the site or removed all those vehicles, would use the site for kind of a temporary use permit while they develop a long-term mixed-use development design consistent with the specific plan for the site. And so that would be submitted to facilitate, I guess, that process. And then we'll be certainly providing for the Uptown, the subcommittee review of the design of that particular project when that is moving forward.
Okay. And it's 3 floors, correct?
The questions?
The future project may be a 3-story building. That's not proposed with this project at this point.
Okay.
So that is correct. That is the conceptual plan, and that's what we're moving forward with when we get there.
Can I ask questions?
Yep.
Yeah, this is John Chu. I have a question would like to know, do they have prepare a traffic study for that CUP? And how long the CUP for?
So when a conditional use permit is submitted, that approval is for up to a total of 6 years once that is done. A traffic study for that type of project would not be, as it's been conceptually designed, not be required because it would be designed consistent with the Uptown Corridor Business District specific plan. And so that analysis would have already been done associated with the specific plan. If there was a different type of use that was beyond the scope of the specific plan, then that may change the discussion. However, that's not what's proposed here. I would further note, as a general concept, pursuant to the Environmental Quality Act, what most people associate with traffic impacts or level of service is not a qualifying environmental segment for traffic impacts. It would be vehicle miles traveled when that project goes through. And so a mixed-use project, both in its proximity and location to Uptown, as well as the type of use, would by default be screened as a low VMT project and would not require a traffic study under those parameters as well.
I see. Thank you.
Pat Buckner, I have a question. How long has this project been going on, and why are we just now being notified about it?
The temporary use permit was submitted on 3/17 and then deemed complete shortly thereafter on April 7th. So this project was just accepted for review and then routed to the Uptown Association with this. The other project, the CUP, has not been submitted. That is going through a conceptual design at this point, and then would be submitted to the Uptown once that project is submitted. So this project, once it has been routed for city review, has been submitted to the Uptown board at the same time.
Okay.
I just want to make a comment. I'm happy to see that the developer's gone through and cleaned up what was there as far as putting up the fencing. I just drove by the project right now. It looks great. I mean, obviously with all the weeds growing, there's a little bit of landscape issues that everybody's taking care of, but compared to what's been there for the last 30 years, it's never looked this clean before. So, but just for clarification, I do know that this is just as a temporary construction office, or they're just cleaning it up to make it a temporary construction office and a site to store a little bit of material while they're doing their development in town. And are you, this will be this way for what, about a year? Is that how long the temporary permit's for?
Yeah, so the temporary use permit has a approval for a year. Certainly they can submit to do a new TEP after that, but the condition would be for only 1 year, and then they would submit sometime in that year period the actual CUP for the site.
Perfect. All right. And at that time, that'll come back, and you guys come back and say, hey, this is what we got. This is where we're going, correct?
Yep.
All right. Well, hey, with that, I think it looks great. If nobody else has any other discussion on this, I'd actually like to move approval of the, or at least give it our blessing for that, for the temporary use permit.
Well, thank you, Robert. If anyone else has anything.
Anybody else have any thoughts or words on it?
So it's going to be pretty much restricted to that lot. I mean, my only concern would be if they're just going to use that for a temporary place for an office. You know, I mean, that doesn't sound to me like it's going to come with any, you know, construction equipment or anything that's going to impair a business's abilities on that street.
Nope.
Okay.
They use a piece of equipment to clean the lot, but there won't be any construction equipment stored at that lot at any time.
Understood.
So I guess, is there a second to Robert's motion that we can take action? And
I'll second it.
okay, and then to facilitate, given our meeting format, we'll do a roll call vote just so that we can provide the vote count for the minutes for Pat's benefit. So I'll go through the list. I will not respond to the non-present votes, and so we'll just go through the members that are present. And so I'll start with Pat Butner.
I vote yes.
John Chu.
Aye.
Vice Chair Robert Coleman.
Yes.
And then Chair Craig Suvag.
Yes.
Okay. So we will
Okay,
go.
I'll hang up.
Yep.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Okay, and then now we will go on to item number 6.
Unknown participant is now exiting.
We'll go to item number 6, which is Uptown related information, new or follow-up. We do have kind of one piece of follow-up information, and this was requested by Craig Suvag to identify, as we had discussed at the February Uptown meeting, was the February 18th meeting was kind of the progress being done related to the city's art committee and the projects in the Uptown. And so Megan was going to provide kind of a status update, and then the next meeting that they will be having, that Uptown board members are encouraged to attend and participate for those projects as they're kind of starting to gain traction.
Yes, so on February 18th, city staff attended the Uptown Association meeting to inform the association that there were 2 forms of public art that were going to be moving forward and presented to City Council for an allocation of funds to solidify artists. And that those 2 forms of art were the mural painting and design located in what I call the old Little Theater, which is the building that is located north of the newly constructed parking lot on California Street, just north of Avenue A. And the second piece of public art is the roundabout art that will be located at the intersection of Yucaipa Boulevard and Bryant Street. Both of those items went to City Council and were approved by Council. The artist that was selected for the mural on California Street is Allison Brown, I think is her last name, and she is the artist who also completed the mural at Yucaipa High School of their logo mascot. After the City Council meeting, the art committee met with the muralists and discussed their goals and objectives for the art piece on the wall, which was to blend old Yucaipa with a new modern Yucaipa. And the artist then created some ideas of what she felt would work well on that wall. She presented those ideas to the committee. They replied and said that her designs didn't quite meet what they felt described Yucaipa. And so they, at this point, the art committee is coming up with specific criteria that they want to see on the wall. In particular, they do want to see at least one iris, because they feel like that is the history of Yucaipa. And they do want to see some sort of wine or vineyard or grape or something that kind of shows this future of where Yucaipa is going. And then there's a lot of other details that they're working out, and they'll meet with the artist again. And then the goal is to have the artist come back with 2 mock-ups of the mural. And after that point, they will go to City Council, where Council will approve the final design of the mural, and we will move forward at that point. The second public art item, which was the roundabout art, we went out for an RFQ, and the city has received 2 submissions, and currently the art committee is reviewing those and will grade the submissions based on the criteria that was set forth in the RFQ. And then that item will also be brought back to City Council for their approval at a later date.
That's just conceptual.
Yeah, and that is just conceptual at this point in time. Those are all the updates that I have for the Public Art Committee, but if anybody has any questions, I can answer those at this time.
Okay. Other than that, we really don't have any other updates of stuff going on. And so we can go, I guess, to the new items for the next meeting to see if there's any suggested topics. I know there's kind of a few different elements that we would like to do, which is the filling of the vacancy, and then doing the committee, the architecture review subcommittee. And so whether or not, hopefully, with the next meeting, we can get the 2 people that was recommended to be there. We had held off from doing it from this meeting, just given some of the nuances of doing the teleconference meeting. But certainly, I would like to get that vacancy filled up so that we can have a full roster for the Uptown Association on that. We may have another architecture or a facade improvement application that's being turned in, and so that may be available as well. And then wanted to see if there's anything else that the Uptown Association would like to see.
I just had a question, Ben, on the roundabout that's proposed for Bryant and the Boulevard. Is there a projected timeline for that?
About $1 million.
And when is that proposed to be started?
Yeah, that's the challenge, Craig. I don't mean to be short, but it's a funding issue. We have not seen a lot of activity in residential housing in the last year or so, and so those development impact fee revenues are down, and until they start, that starts picking up a little bit, we would not have the ability to go forward on the project there anytime soon. The thought was when we started down this path that maybe housing would have picked up this past year, but we just haven't seen that. And so what council has approved is just the conceptual design process for the art, nothing beyond that at this point.
Okay.
Okay, and that,
I'm sorry, one more thing I will say, the design is basically done. 90, for me, now always holds back a couple of percent. Then the design is 98% done for that roundabout.
and then I would say the only other new item probably for the next meeting is we'll give a status update of the AVA Planning Committee or the American Viticulture Area Planning Committee kind of status update, since some of the endeavors associated with that planning activity may have tangible benefits to activity in the Uptown as well, and just trying to give a status update. Craig Suved is certainly a member of that committee, but for the rest of the Uptown Boards Association's benefit as well. And so that concludes my comments, and certainly happy for any other ideas from the Uptown Association that they would like to see. If not, that's all we have for this meeting, and want to express my appreciation for those participating. Certainly very strange not being in the same room together for this stuff, but definitely want to make sure that we are moving forward with activity in the Uptown and trying to make sure that we are making progress.
Yes. Appreciate
well,
it.
hey, sounds good. Appreciate everything. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.